Hello everyone, it is Rui. From the title and the fact that Timmy and Tommy are here checking me in for my flight, I'm starting a completely new island. I'm going to have basically the same or similar avatar design, but I'm going to change the name to Rui instead of my other name that I had in other videos just to avoid confusion. And I guess the theme that I want to go for is elegant core, but this episode is mostly focused on starting the island, getting acclimated, and everything. So, yeah, I hope you all enjoy watching the video and that you're having a good day, afternoon, or night. Since I live in North America, I'm going to be playing the, I guess, North American server. If I don't even know if they have servers. And then I will also do the Northern Hemisphere. I played Southern Hemisphere. It's fun, but sometimes I just feel like I'm getting confused, so I chose Northern Hemisphere. Now, for the island, I had a checklist and I wanted the island to have a minimum. River mouths cannot be on the same side. Resident services has to be a little further away from the airport, and if it's symmetrical, that's great, but it's no biggie if it isn't. I went through a couple iterations, resets. I did decide to go with one of the maps on the fourth reset, but it felt weird and off, so I reset again. There was nothing wrong with the villagers, nothing wrong with the fruits, but I just felt as if it just didn't feel right, and I just decided to reset. So after a couple more resets, I finally settled on this map. And yeah, I think it was pretty good. It was a pretty good choice. The only thing that pissed me off is that peaches. That I had peaches again. Like, my last island was peaches, now it's peaches. It's just always peaches. My starting villagers are Sylvia and Kevin. No, I shouldn't laugh, but like having a villager named Kevin is amusing to me. I went through all the intros and everything before being handed my tent. Since I'm an Animal Crossing New Horizons self-appointed veteran player, I'm going to put as many buildings as I can on the beach to make sure it's easier for me to build later on. Of course, the upcoming 3 villager home plots will take up a lot of more room, but I'll be sure to move them later. I also put Sylvia and Kevin's tent on the beach, so they will start there. After gathering the sticks and peaches for Tom Nook, it was time to name the island. Since I'm going for elegant core, I initially wanted to name the island Athel because it meant noble. It sounded cool, but then I took a minute to think about it and I went with amethyst because that's my birthstone, and the color purple, I believe it has some associations with royalty, so it just kind of worked out in the end. Oh, and this is what the map looks like zoomed in and not the tiny image. So yeah, we have me, Kevin, and Sylvia on the island so far. After that, I attended the DIY workshop and gathered as many fishes as possible for Tom Nook to give to Blathers, and also picked up a lot of weeds along the way, so I was able to get Blathers' tent and put that on the beach, so I'll see him the next day. Also, I almost got bit by a scorpion while I was just gathering weeds, and it was like kind of scary because I didn't have a net, so there's that. I time traveled to the next day and Blathers has arrived. Since he needs 15 items before upgrading the museum, I'm going to stock them up outside and turn them all in at once. Since I need to create tools a lot, I will be gathering sticks, chopping wood, and picking up weeds around the island for the rest of the time that I'm here in my time travel state, I guess. Yeah. And here's my new home. I also paid for my Nook miles to Tom Nook off camera. That's why I have a new home. And I did purchase 2 pipes so I could place one next to resident services and another would stay in my pocket. This way I can clean up the other parts of the island easily and earn bells from selling the weeds. And I did also pay off my debt for the first home as well. I did go to Treasure Islands to get bells because the ultimate goal, again, is to build my elegant core island. So going to Treasure Islands is okay with me. So in order to unlock terraforming, I need to get 3 stars. KK Slider has to come to my island. But I basically have to get 10 villagers, get resident services and the museum upgraded, along with the campsite has to be placed with the first bridge, as well as Nook's Cranny and Able Sisters. That's a lot to go through, but again, for transparency, I'll be using Treasure Islands and I will be time traveling a lot throughout the start of me working on completing these goals. Oh, and I need to stock up on Nook Miles to redeem a ton of stuff like expanding my pocket storage and to unlock water and cliff terraforming, as well as the base game pathing later on. I was able to get Nook's Cranny placed on the island after getting some wood and iron nuggets. I also spent a lot of time gaining Nook Miles by planting fruit trees and putting items in storage. I was also able to use Nook Miles to redeem the Pocket Organization Guide to expand my own pocket storage. The rest of the time, I picked up all the weeds and flowers on the cliffs so I could exchange them for bells. I also caught some bugs to decorate or to donate to the museum. And speaking of the museum, I actually had enough to donate 15 items so I could upgrade it to an actual building. I do have to say, clicking about 15 times was a little annoying, but it got the job done and I was able to have a museum the next day. Gulliver decided to wash up on the shores of Amethyst, so I decided to help him get parts for his phone and so I could earn Nook Miles from it. The next day, my home was upgraded and the museum was under construction, and this was also the day when Tom Nook told me about the interested parties that wanted to move to the island. So I built the bridge first before putting the plots on the island. I decided to put it near Nook's Cranny so it would be easier for me to just cross the river and go buy things. And here I placed all 3 plots down by Nook's Cranny. After checking in with Tom Nook, I went to check the plots and all of them were sold. So the first one was sold to Deena, second one to Pinky, and the first one was sold to Cranston. Now I didn't look up what they looked like because I wanted it to be a surprise, but it was fairly quick that he got all of those plots sold. So yeah, I was very excited to find out who would be moving in here, even though they'd probably be moving out soon enough anyways. And I put down some fencing just for the heck of it because I had some in my pockets. And yeah, that was it for the home plots basically. The next day, the museum was fully upgraded, and I actually didn't account for how big it would be, so it basically covered up my home entrance, and yeah. I also attended the customization workshop, and then I visited Cranston, who was settling in. I also spent the next few days cataloging and buying furniture in Nook's Cranny, and generally working on racking up my Nook miles because that was important for me to not only expand my pocket storage, but again to get other items that I need from redeeming Nook miles. And the day after that, I was able to meet Pinky, who was also settling in to their home. And honestly, I think Pinky has a really cool color scheme. I like the pink and it's like a cream white, I guess. It reminds me of ice cream, or maybe it was the lighting. But yeah, one thing that I noticed was that Pinky's house and Cranston's house were both Japanese theme, and it was kind of funny to me because I'm straying away from the Japanese theme, and I just happened to get Japanese themed villagers come onto the island as my first few villagers. I think that's kind of funny to me. But yeah, that's what I noticed. And then the final villager that I had was Deena. Nothing against her, she seems pretty normal, so yeah, but she's not gonna stay. The next day, resident services was upgraded and Isabelle finally graced us with her presence. I also was able to redeem my Nook miles to increase the capacity of my pockets, so I'm able to carry a lot more stuff and just have more room instead of just 2 or 3 rows. And since resident services was upgraded, the next part of the journey to unlocking terraforming was to talk to Tom Nook about getting KK Slider here. The first task was to create a campsite. After receiving the DIY for making a campsite, I gathered materials and made the construction kit, and I was able to place it on the beach next to the museum. I also got interrupted and got asked to see someone at the airport who was Lottie, and I almost forgot that I had the Dream Home Academy or Happy Home Academy DLC downloaded, so this was just a short introduction to Lottie. Mabel's second day here was rainy, but I was able to obtain the clothes shop kit and place that on the beach right next to Nook's cranny. And you can see Daisy May. I do introduce myself to her, even though I'm not going to trade any turnips, but I just thought I would say hi. I also was finally able to pay off all of my debts on my home, so I guess we can have as much fun as we can with the rest of the bells in my bank account. And the next day, I also visited the campsite villager. Since you can't really refuse who comes here, you just have to accept it. So the villager that came was Shep, and yeah, I mean, they're not too bad, but I don't think that they'll stay on the island either way. They're just filling up space. Since I need 10 villagers total, I basically decided to start putting in the plots on the beach so I could go to treasure islands and just get the villagers that I want. So I put down the first one for Shep, and then I put down a second one, and that was all I did for this day when the campsite villager arrived. And ever since Isabelle came, I have been constantly asking about the ratings for the island. So right now I have a 2-star island, and I will update you all when I reach 3 stars, which will probably be a little bit later in the video. The villagers that actually moved in were Marshall and also Punchy, who is settling into his home. Hopefully we'll see him around the island a little bit later. And since Isabelle said that I'm missing flowers, I decided to buy some of the flowers that were available at Nook's Cranny, which were roses. So hopefully I get to 3 stars very soon, especially since I put in a lot of random furniture just around the island. The next villager to move in was Raymond, so I'm meeting him here while he's settling in. Same for Dobie, he moved in the next day, and honestly, I think I'm going to keep him forever. He's actually one of my top villagers, and I really just love Dobie and his old man antics, if we could call it that. And here is the map, which shows that I have 10 villagers, so the next steps are to focus on getting 3 stars, which means getting a lot of flowers and trees on the island. And finally, after about 20-ish days of time traveling, I finally got a 3-star rating and was able to get KK Slider onto the island, which means that I can do terraforming after the concert. The last thing that I really need to do is upgrade Nook's Cranny, but I can probably do that later on. KK slider is finally here. I time traveled to the next day, and one thing I noticed during this concert is the fact that Marshall, who I believe is the shortest in height out of everyone on the island, is in the way back. Like, you can see him in snippets of the concert. Like, he's enjoying himself, but he's fully covered by Kevin's big head that I'm not even sure if he's enjoying it or not. I mean, clearly he is, but he's just like so small that he is just blocked by everyone. I mean, Deena's also short, but it's like, why did they put all these short villagers in the back? It makes no sense. But anyways, excuse the super orange footage, it's sunset. But since the concert was over, I was able to get the terraforming app on my Nook phone. So that means that I can actually start to terraform, and that's been the goal all along, so I was able to reach it. I also spent some time at the ABD just redeeming Nook miles for the terraforming and the paths that are in game, just so I could have all of them. And I used a lot of Nook miles for this, but I think it was worth it. I mean, I just kept mashing the buttons to make it go faster, but since it's Animal Crossing, it's pretty slow. But anyways, I got all of the paths, so we should be all set to start downloading codes. Also, Deena wanted to move away, which I was fine with, but I was like, that was pretty quick, even though I did time travel, but it was like, well, okay, now I can get the next villager that I want on the island, which is Wolfgang. But yeah, this was basically like a episode 1 of Amethyst, the new island. Again, I'm going for elegant core, so I'll delve into those details in the next episode. And I apologize if I sounded stiff or anything. I actually did script the first half of the video. Right now, it's not scripted, but whatever. I just wanted to make sure all the details were correct, so that's why I scripted everything. But the next episode will basically be me clearing out everything, talking about what I want to do for the design of the island, and just terraforming and flattening everything. So if you've watched until the end, listened till the end, I really appreciate it. And please look forward to more episodes on Amethyst and the Elegant Core Island. Yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Bye!